The first snow of winter fell on Gotham like ash from some distant fire, drifting between the crooked spires and soot-black chimneys. In the cave beneath Wayne Manor, Bruce Wayne stood before the glowing monolith of the Bat-computer, his gaze locked on a shifting grid of light, the multiversal coordinates Reed Richards had sent him. It had been 2 weeks since that first contact, since the man who called himself Mr. Fantastic appeared on encrypted comms. Bruce had not forgotten the soft-spoken precision of Reed's voice, the way it carried the same clinical certainty as Hugo Strange, yet with a brilliance that could rival Ray Palmer. "Our worlds are not so different, Batman," Reed had said. "We both fight impossible wars. We both endure." But tonight, something gnawed at Bruce. Oracle's scans showed microscopic fluctuations in Reed's biometric data during their last transmission. Not fatigue, but something stranger. A spike in hunger response markers. He filed the suspicion away. This meeting had to happen. "Your plan's insane, you know," Tim Drake's voice echoed from the gantry above. "Crime Alley, in the middle of winter? You're asking for trouble." "Trouble's already here," Bruce replied, stepping into the white-armored anti-freeze bat suit. The design was a throwback to the Snowbuster variant he'd used in the old Detective Comics hash, 373 case against Mr. Freeze. Updated now with microcryogenic emitters along the gauntlets. "We don't choose the battlefield, it chooses us." Crime Alley was empty. The snow thick enough to smother every sound but the hiss of Wayne Tech generators powering the portable containment grid. In the shadows, Nightwing crouched on a fire escape, surveying the kill zone. No civilians, no traffic. You might actually get through a night without a lawsuit. Above them, the air ripped. A wound in space spiraled open, its edges sparking with the same sickly green as the boom tubes Bruce had seen Darkseid's forces use, but thinner, unstable. From within stepped Reed Richards, wrapped in a heavy containment coat. For an instant, Batman almost believed the man was genuine. His face was thinner, his skin drawn tight over sharp cheekbones. The Fantastic Four emblem on his chest was scorched. "Batman," Reed greeted, voice strained. "I wish we had met under better..." He staggered forward, and the mask dropped. Flesh along his neck split like rotten cloth, peeling back to reveal dark muscle and teeth. His jaw elongated in a hideous crack. A smell hit Bruce's senses, copper and decay. From behind Reed, the rest emerged. Johnny Storm, skin blackened and cracked, eyes glowing with feral hunger. Sue Storm, her force fields flickering with warped distortions, half her cheek eaten away. Ben Grimm, the orange rock of his form chipped and stained with dried blood. They had crossed over as predators, not envoys. "Containment breach!" Oracle's voice snapped in Bruce's cowl. "They're not human, scanning multiple non-terrestrial pathogens." Reed lunged. Batman fired a cryo burst, the emitter frosting over Reed's elastic arm and snapping it mid-whip. Tim hit the street, Eskrima sticks blurring, smashing into Johnny's flaming skull, only for the zombie torch to reform, fire twisting into claw shapes. Nightwing's line snapped taut as Sue appeared inside his guard, phasing through a solid wall, and drove an invisible blade toward his chest. He rolled, the tips slicing fabric and nicking skin, cold pain spreading instantly. Bats. She's got something in the blade. Batman's mind moved faster than his body. Paralytic, neurotoxin analog. She's weaponizing her constructs. He triggered the anti-freeze suit's emergency dispersal, a cloud of chilled vapor sweeping the alley, slowing their regeneration. "You're not the first genius I've met who thought he could outthink me," Reed snarled, voice bubbling with blood. "The other one didn't last long either." The line struck Bruce like a bullet, a direct echo of the Marvel Zombies' Ultimate Fantastic Four arc. He understood now. Reed hadn't reached out for help. He'd reached out for food. Oracle, call the League. We've got a breach, Batman growled, kicking Ben Grimm's knee joint until it cracked, following with a point-blank cryo charge to the face. ETA 5 minutes, Oracle replied. Can you hold that long? Bruce looked around. Tim was on his back, fending off Johnny's flaming claws with twin bat shields. Nightwing was limping but still mobile. The zombies were laughing, not mindless groans, but the cruel mirth of hunters who had cornered prey. 5 minutes is a lifetime, Batman said, but his tone was grim, because deep down he wasn't sure they had even 2. The first JLA warning klaxons were still echoing through the watchtower when the Fantastic Four zombies began carving their way through Gotham. The breach in Crime Alley had stabilized enough to drip more of the Marvel Zombies' corrupted air into the city, a faint copper rot riding the wind. Batman and the Bat family regrouped in the clock tower, Oracle's screens glowing like constellations of bad news. GCPD units are dropping out of comms, Barbara said. South Narrows is gone. They're feeding in Robinson Park. And Bruce, they're not just biting, they're infecting. The word sent Bruce into silent calculation. The DCU had seen viral nightmares before. Contagion. Legacy, even the Joker Venom pandemic of '92. But this was different. This wasn't chaos for chaos' sake. This was purposeful consumption. On the streets, zombie Johnny Storm turned the Narrows into a furnace. Buildings became pyres, smoke painting the skyline black. Bruce dispatched Nightwing to lead an evac through the lower causeways, where old No Man's Land tunnels still ran beneath the city. Tim Drake worked in tandem, dropping cryomines at choke points to herd the undead toward preset traps. But Sue Storm proved the most dangerous. She infiltrated a GCPD barricade, appearing inside the line with a flash of distorted air, and detonated an invisible concussive wave. 20 officers went down in a heartbeat. Oracle tracked her movements like a phantom on thermal, but every time Batman moved to intercept, Sue's fields bent the city around her, like an Escher drawing. Meanwhile, Ben Grimm took the bridges, his massive hands, more clawed now than rocky, tore through steel cables as if they were ribbon. By nightfall, Gotham was an island again, just like during No Man's Land. Inside Wayne Tower's sub-basement, Batman's portable lab worked overtime, under the lens of a Stark Tech-adapted microscope, scavenged from a long-forgotten JLA collaboration with Iron Man's universe. The zombie tissue samples twitched unnaturally, even outside a host. They weren't dying. They weren't even slowing down. Freezing works, Tim said, stepping in with Frost still clinging to his cowl. Slows them, but they break the ice faster every time. They're adapting, Bruce muttered. Same as I would. His mind flashed back to Reed's words during their encrypted talks. How multiverse barriers were weakening. How each world might be contaminated by the other. It wasn't just Gotham at stake. If they lost here, they'd lose everything. The first JLA reinforcements arrived in a blaze of light. Green Lantern, Flash, and Wonder Woman hitting the city like a Counter-Strike missile. Hal's constructs pinned Ben Grimm in a steel coffin. Barry raced survivors out of danger, and Diana locked blades with Sue, forcing the Invisible Woman into visible desperation. For a moment, hope glimmered. Then Reed Richards reappeared and the battle turned, his body, grotesquely elastic, looped around Hal's construct, crushing it from within. He lashed out with barbed bone protrusions, impaling Lantern's side. Wonder Woman's sword cut through Reed's midsection, only for his two halves to crawl, spider-like toward her ankles. The Flash fell next. Not from a bite, but from a perfectly timed tripwire Reed had set, with his own severed tendons, tangling Barry's legs and sending him into a collision with Grimm's massive fists. In seconds, the League's front line was staggering. Batman shifted to full siege protocol. Oracle, seal the Arkham tunnels. Light the perimeter charges at Kane Street. Explosions boomed across the East End, redirecting the Fantastic Four zombies into the Bloodhaven corridor, an intentional kill zone. Bruce and Tim hit them from rooftops with cryolances, while Nightwing engaged Grimm in brutal close-quarters combat, recalling the old prodigal sparring techniques Bruce had taught him. Grimm went down not dead, but slowed. Still, Reed was nowhere to be found. That's when Batman saw it, a flicker in the distance near the breach site. Reed was working again, his elongated fingers dancing over a scavenged control rig, fused with Wayne Tech teleportation components. He was trying to widen the rift. Bruce's blood went cold. He's bringing more. The Bat family converged on the breach, Oracle feeding them every street angle. Robin disabled Reed's improvised energy capacitors, while Nightwing baited Johnny into a cryo-burst trap. For a fleeting instant, the portal began to destabilize, but Reed was faster. He extended his torso 20 feet in a snap, grabbing Tim by the neck and hoisting him toward the breach. "Smart boy," Reed hissed. "You'll taste like hope." Batman's gauntlet found the seam in Reed's skull and drove a cryospike into it. The zombie genius shrieked, releasing Tim. But even frozen, he kept talking, his jaw stiff with ice. "It's too late, Batman. You think you're defending your city. You're really setting the table." The warning was enough to settle Bruce's next move. This wasn't containment anymore. This was preemptive war. And to win it, he'd need more than the anti-freeze suit. He'd need the kind of armor he swore he'd never wear again. Far above, in the watchtower, the Hellbat armor's containment seals began to disengage. The Hellbat armor sat in its containment cradle aboard the watchtower, black as the void between worlds. Forged in secret by the Justice League, every member contributing something, it was never meant for prolonged use. Superman's heat vision had tempered its plating, Diana's magic had bound its joints, and Hal Jordan's ring constructs had shaped its frame. It was built for one purpose: to let Batman wage war on gods, at the cost of his own life force. Standing before it, Bruce's mind was a steel trap. No hesitation, no second guessing. "Jar it open," he ordered through the comms. "Bruce, think about what you're doing," Wonder Woman's voice broke through, raw with urgency. "The Hellbat eats you alive. You won't survive more than minutes in sustained combat." "I don't need minutes," Batman said. "I need an ending." The armor unfolded around him like a predator unfurling its wings, locking into place with a hiss that felt like a coffin ceiling. The world narrowed into the crimson glow of the Hellbat's HUD. His heart rate spiked. His blood felt molten. Good, he thought. Let it burn. Back in Gotham, the breach swelled like an open wound. Reed's modifications had taken hold. The green rift shimmered, now bleeding in faint silhouettes, shapes from the other side. The sound was like wind howling through bones. Batman descended into Crime Alley with the Hellbat's wings unfurled, each step cracking the frozen pavement. "Oracle, keep the League out. This is my fight." "You're going in alone?" Barbara's voice trembled. "I started this alone," Bruce said. "I'll finish it the same way." With a single beat of his jet black wings, he surged into the breach. The other side was worse than he imagined. New York City, or what was left of it, was a graveyard of titans. The Baxter building leaned at a 40-degree angle. hollowed out and charred. Stark Tower was little more than a skeletal frame, its arc reactor core dangling dead in the wind. Cars were frozen mid-traffic, doors clawed open, their drivers nothing but stripped bones. Batman's HUD painted the environment in thermal overlays, but everything burned red. The infection was everywhere. The first wave hit him without warning. Zombie Daredevil, face half torn away, leaping from a rooftop with a steel cable whip. Batman caught him midair, snapped the cable and slammed him into the street, so hard the asphalt cratered. The Hellbat's talons crushed bone with surgical precision. No hesitation, no second strikes. More came. Zombie Black Widow moving like a spider through the husks of buildings, her mouth unhinged, unnaturally wide. He bisected her with a Hellbat blade in one motion, not stopping to watch her twitch. They kept coming. Fragments of the Avengers, the X-Men, even cosmic strays like Nova and Beta Ray Bill, all mutilated beyond recognition. Their hunger was mindless, but their tactics were not. They moved like a pack, circling, testing his reach. The Hellbat's systems began bleeding off microbursts of his life force to maintain output. He could feel it, his pulse sinking with the armor's exoservos, each movement draining him. But every kill was clean, deliberate, and final. At the city's heart, Reed Richards waited, or what was left of him. His body stretched across the ruins like a spiderweb, weaving between toppled skyscrapers, his torso suspended over a cracked plaza. "Welcome to dinner, Batman," Reed said, voice echoing from every direction at once. Batman ignited the Hellbat's thrusters, blasting forward through a rain of elastic, bladed tendrils. He remembered every moment of their earlier fight in Gotham, every feint, every overextension, and countered each with brutal efficiency. He froze and shattered Reed's left arm. He severed his midsection and used it as a shield against incoming zombie swarms. He burned him with the Hellbat's heat coils until flesh bubbled away from bone. But Reed kept fighting, his head, still animate, latched onto the Hellbat's chest plate, gnawing through the composite. The armor's AI screamed damage alerts. Batman slammed Reed's skull into the pavement until it caved in. More zombies poured into the plaza. The zombie Fantastic Four, reassembled from the wreckage of their earlier battle, joined by the likes of Hawkeye, Cyclops, and Luke Cage. Batman's body screamed with fatigue. The armor's output readouts dipped into the red, and still he fought. The plan was simple. Overload the breach's dimensional anchor from this side, collapsing the connection permanently. The anchor pulsed at the far end of the plaza, guarded by a writhing wall of undead. He became a blur of wings and blades, carving through them like shadows in a burning field. The Hellbat's voice whispered in his ear, lethal output at 92%, 93%, 94%. His vision tunneled. Blood vessels burst in his eyes. His heartbeat pounded in his skull like war drums. Finally, he reached the anchor. He drove both Hellbat gauntlets into its core, channeling the armor's remaining power and his own life into an overcharged feedback loop. The air howled, the ground cracked, and the anchor's casing began to melt under the combined heat and energy discharge. "Close it," Batman growled to himself. "Close it now." The zombies screamed as the rift began to collapse, its edges pulling inward like the mouth of a dying star. The suction tore them apart mid-lunge, shredding Reed's remnants into ribbons. The blast hit like the fist of a god. On the Gotham side, the JLA watched as the breach imploded in a blinding flash, the sound slamming through Crime Alley like a hurricane. When the light faded, only a scorched circle of ice and ash remained, No Batman. But in the dark streets of the Marvel Zombies Earth, a shadow moved. The Hellbat was cracked, scorched, and leaking power, its wings bent into ragged spears. Inside, Bruce's breathing was ragged, each inhale a knife. But he was alive. Around him, the zombies still prowled. Hundreds, maybe thousands. He tightened his gauntlets. The suit's AI whispered its last status report. Operational time remaining, 0 hours, 4 minutes, and 37 seconds. That's more than enough, Batman said, and stepped into the horde. The final panel would show him silhouetted in the blood-red glow of the Hellbat's eyes, carving into the endless undead, his voiceover calm and unyielding. Gotham's safe. My war isn't over. It had been 47 days since the breach closed. Time was hard to measure here. Wow. The sun was little more than a dim ember behind an eternal haze, and the moon never came. The world was locked in a twilight that felt like the last hour before the end of everything. The Hellbat was no longer a suit of war. It was a coffin he wore like armor. The wings had been reforged into crude blades, jagged from constant use. The red glow of the eyes had dimmed to a sickly ember, running on scavenged power cells pulled from Stark drones and alien wreckage. Batman moved through the ruins of what was once Central Park, now a graveyard of rotted Avengers and collapsed monuments. A dozen survivors followed at a distance. Humans, Inhumans, even a one-eyed Skrull, each armed with makeshift weapons. They were alive because of him. The zombies had adapted. Some were feral, hunting in packs. Others were strategists, lingering echoes of the heroes and villains they had been. He'd fought a half-decayed Magneto, who could still pull rebar from buildings like arrows. A zombified Black Panther, whose claws could cut the Hellbat's armor, and even an undead Doctor Strange whose severed head still whispered curses. But Bruce had adapted too. He knew how to freeze them, he knew where to strike, and he knew never to stop moving. That night, as the survivors huddled in the burned-out husk of the New York Public Library, a noise stirred outside. The wet, dragging shuffle of something that wasn't human anymore. Batman was already moving, Hellbat claws unfolding with a metallic rasp. From the shadows stepped Zombie Captain America. His uniform was shredded, his shield pitted and cracked, but his posture was still that of a soldier. His eyes, cloudy and dead, fixed on Bruce with recognition. You. The thing that was once Steve Rogers rasped. We remember you. Good, Batman said, circling him. It means I don't have to introduce myself before I kill you. The fight was fast, brutal, and silent except for the crunch of bone and the hiss of hydraulics. In the end, Cap's head rolled across the cracked floor, his shield falling beside it with a hollow clang. Batman stared at the shield for a moment, then picked it up. It might make a better wall than a weapon. As the survivors watched from the library doorway, Bruce leaned on the battered shield and looked north, toward a faint glow on the horizon. A new breach, smaller, flickering, but there.